Bryan Michael, how the hell are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Listeners, we have a rare treat where we're going to talk about some gas stuff today, is my understanding. Is that right, Bryan?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Usually our kickoff question is like, tell us how you got involved in diesel performance. But I guess for you, we're going to have to modify this. How did you get started competing with All Truck Challenge?
Well, as odd as it sounds, I actually, being that I drive a semi, so there's the diesel side. Plus, I went to UNOH and actually took all the diesel and business program and high performance over there. So my intention was to go into the diesel world, but for some reason I got hooked on gas motors, and I was in truck pulling, decided to kind of get out because I didn't want a purpose-built vehicle. And Sarah started this competition, and I just merely asked her, hey, can a gas truck be in it? And her and Matt both said, well, there isn't any rules. So it was an opportunity for me. So I thought it looked like fun. And it just all the competitors and everybody I've met so far, it's a great event. And I look forward to it every year.
So you've been, since it started, were you there at the first one?
No, I didn't even know they had it until it had came out. So I missed the first year.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's dive into it, man. Tell us about the truck you brought last year. Let's start there, and then we'll kind of work up to this year.
Okay, so the first year in 19 when I went, I had literally taken my 2015 daily driver, it's a 2500 HD truck with crew cab, full LTZ truck. And for whatever reason, I thought that I needed to pull the motor out, put a 427 LSX with the biggest mast cylinder heads and a 4.5 Whipple that Whipple supercharger said you couldn't fit into this truck. It spiraled from an 800 horse build into 1400 horse, and then it just spiraled into troubles because the truck, the factory ECU and torque management, nobody had attempted what I did, which ultimately I ended up blowing the motor up in that truck after the event. The truck's not around. I put it back to stock, traded it in on the 2020, which I took last year with the new 6.6 gas motor, because I wanted to help support the event, believe in it. It's a good time. Which led me up to, we made a move this last winter. We moved across the state of Ohio to help out my wife's parents, and just decided that I needed to not be trying to beat on my everyday truck. So we found an 03 that had been wrecked, and I've just been taking this past year just building it through some friends, whether it's been Matt Chapman or through Justin Ziegler and some other guys. They all just kind of been on me about, you need to do a turbo LS deal. So
Good friends.
It spiraled out of control really fast.
I love when it's the story comes up. It's like, listen, my friends made me do this. I wasn't going to do it. I was just going to drive it, man. I was just going to drive it. And then everybody's like, you got to do something way cooler than this. So what's the current setup? Give me a rundown. What are you bringing to All Truck Challenge this year?
So it's a stock 6-liter that it's all stock internals, just freshen the motor up, just, gap the rings, but put a lot better valve train in it. So we've got, better lifters, rockers, push rods, stuff like that. And then, different cam, just, the things you need to do to help support the turbo. It's nothing crazy. I got a 78-75. It was an on-3 turbo kit that I put on, which it didn't fit. I didn't know any better. I bought a kit. Should have just, you know how it is. You put the truck together, and then you find the right people after you start the build when you're about to pull your hair out because nothing's working. And the guys are like, you would have never had that much money in this. Well, I didn't know you guys. So, Justin Ziegler's helped me a lot. Since we moved to Canton, Akron area, he's pointed me the right guys, with Slosh Fabrication. The guy, we basically had to cut the whole kit up and restart. So it's been it's just an 03 2500 HD with a 4L ADE, nothing fancy, 33s and 410 gears in it. I've got Justin's let me actually borrow some wheels and tires and some weights so that I could possibly be competitive. I don't know where the thing's going to end up because I don't have enough fuel, don't have enough injector. This spiraled out of fast, so fast. I didn't have time to get enough money to get the thing together. That now I intended on building this 600-700 horse truck. Now everybody's like, man, we got to get 1,000 out of that thing so you can be competitive. I'm like, well, who's funding this? Because I don't have enough money right now. So, what I've got, I'm coming with. It's about smiles for me. It's just to be like, man, look at this crazy gas truck guy. I'm really there for the fun. I like it. I like the atmosphere. It's going to be kind of loud, not near as loud as my supercharged truck, but hopefully I do good.
How have you fared in the past? Where have you landed in the rankings?
Well, I know Sarah's going to be able to correct me, but I'm going to tell you it's been a lesson. So one year I took 1,400 horse, and the next year I took a stock truck, and I think I almost placed the same place, somewhere around the 10th place area.
Okay.
My goal is this year to do better than 10th.
All right. So shooting for the top 10, I like that. I like when it's a goal where you're kind of taking a look at everything and going, hey, listen, like for what I'm bringing and for what I've seen here, this is where we kind of expect to land. What are you strong in? Are you strong in the drag racing? I know you said you got sled pull experience. You're in Ohio. That's kind of like just a given. But yeah, dirt drags. I mean, what's your favorite event when you go to this?
My favorite so I grew up around OSTPA, NTPA stuff. I had neighbors with 3-engine mod tractors, blown full drive trucks. I worked for a gentleman for a while that we actually, before they actually made the pull-in tires, now with the chevron cut in them, we used to actually grind the old combine tires and make those tires. So I've been around pulling as a kid. I grew up around it. I love truck pulling. I would like to say that's my favorite event, but you know how it is. I mean, I weighed the truck the other day. It weighs 5,400 pounds, and I'm only going to bring 700 horse. So it's like I'm bringing a knife to a gunfight. Dyno. Yeah. We realize at Dyno, I'm going to be last place. If this thing makes 600 of the tires, that's going to be impressive for me. But
you never know who's going to break on the Dyno, though. You might not be last. Yeah. But I hear you. I hear you.
The goal is just to try to do well overall. Me personally, inside, I want to do good at sled pulling. I don't know. I got a couple guys trying to help me understand how to use the 2-step to launch at drag racing and dirt drags.
Okay.
Hopefully I get the hang of it. We're
kind of close to the event, buddy.
We're trying to go this weekend to a local track here at Magnolia, here in Ohio, south of Canton, to maybe get a pass. I have a feeling that King of the Street is going to be the testing for me.
This is something that I'm really learning to love about this event specifically, is that it being held in Ohio and having so many of you, the local enthusiasts that are from this like kind of niche region throughout diesel performance. I expect the sled pulling to be probably the most competitive in any of this kind of like multifunction event, right? Like even when we go to UCC, this is the first year I think that we have 2 guys with like a lot of sled pull experience in the top 3, right? Like, as we look at it, traditionally it's a drag racer event, and then they have to go sled pull to prove that they can do more than one thing. Right. Whereas in here, we got a lot going on.
Right. That's where I have very little drag racing experience. I've probably made a handful of passes outside of King of the Street. Dirt drag, I've had a little more experience in, but Dyno, never been on the Dyno till I was with Sarah at her event. Street drives every day. I pretty much always drive my vehicles I've built, but the sled pulling, I grew up around it. I mean, I grew up, watching Levon when, through the Central Ohio truck pull circuit, and those guys around his area, and seeing most of these guys, seeing Ziegler, all these guys around the Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Michigan area, I would always travel and I would run into all these guys. So, I mean, yeah, like you're saying, there's a lot of truck pulling routes with a lot of guys that are doing drag racing and, UCC or any of these other events. I've always seen them at truck pulls.
Now the truck's light, which is a clear disadvantage, but you can add weight. Can you add enough weight to play catch up? Is there a limit? Isn't it just whatever you weigh on the drive? That's what you have to pull at?
Yes. So my goal is I'm probably going to weigh around 72 is the plan, because I don't think it's wise for me to weigh the truck up, being I'm underpowered, to try to use the engine, the truck's power to move itself.
Right.
I don't know if it's smart. That's my plan. I've got a good set of wheels and tires to put on it. I've got the weights, and we'll just see. We're gonna data log obviously the first run, see what happens, and see if I need to, what we can do to more power, if I need to shift, or I have no idea. I've never pulled a turbo truck. I have no idea what's going to happen. I just hope everything stays inside.
I am so excited to watch you through this competition. I think this is going to be fun. I think this is going to be that kind of unique aspect to UCC where I know personally I have a pretty good judge on a ballpark of like how serious of a level of competition are you when we go to these type of events. But that's with diesel trucks. I also have no fucking clue what's going to happen with gasser out there in a mix. What I expect, and nothing against the truck or going out there to compete, because I think it is awesome that you're going out there to do it. But the guy who comes up one place behind you is going to be fucking pissed.
I know.
Like you let this guy in here, and I gotta like, what are you? You're killing me. Like you're killing me.
Yeah. I asked Sarah the other day. So I've got a couple other guys that are going with me to help, crew that actually are going to be bringing 2-wheel drive half-ton trucks to try to get into the grudge race. So there's going to be a couple other Turbo LS trucks with me to try to see if they can get guys to grudge race them. So
I love it.
We'll see. I'm going to, it'll be interesting. There'll be at least 2 or 3 turbo gas trucks there.
Oh, that'll be fun. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Dyno. I always love talking about the dyno. Because my experience around a dyno is have run it while somebody who actually knew what they were doing was sitting next to me telling me exactly what to do step by step, and have seen them run more times than I care to count. But getting up on these dynos at the competition, it's pretty much different than anything else you're going to do with the truck. It's not like daily driving it. It's not like drag racing it. It's not like sled pulling it. It is clearly uniquely its own thing. How do you feel about that? I mean, have you run the new turbo setup on a dyno yourself to get some test runs?
We haven't. The local shop here that has a dyno is down. So my guy's helping me tune it. I guess we're trying to use a calculation through HP tuners. But I actually have a new intercooler laying here right now that I'm going to put in just in case, we need. The intercooler I have is good for around 700, but I just bought one that's good for 1,000. I don't want to have to run into an EGT problem.
Right.
But it is what it is up there. That's what, we were talking about, that the truck's going to be lucky to make, I'm going to guess maybe 6 to the tires. I want to go up there. I'm planning to probably make a couple good runs. Just let everybody see it, hear it, everybody smile. We're not going to lay down 1,000 horse. It ain't happening. I don't have enough. I'm going to be running on 112 race gas. Next year we might switch, put more, more power and go up back to 85. But this year it is what it is. I'm running 112. I figure the truck's going to make around 600, hopefully, to the tires. We're just going to go up. I think, my tuner's he's going to leave his laptop in there for me so that I can data log it. And I think we're going to wire up to one of the solenoids on the transmission so that I can lock it, be able to lock and unlock the converter. We're going to try a couple things while we're up there to see, to try to lay down the best number. We're obviously not going up to kill the truck, because we know that's not an event where I can get huge points, but still want to, go up and put on a show and do good.
Right. Okay. Well, I love it. I mean, I love that you've really thought this through. You got a solid strategy. You kind of have already given us an idea of where you hope to end in the pack. give us some call outs here. Who do you think is going to be in last place? Who do you think is going to be in the top 3?
I don't know what to say anything for last. You never know, because it could be me. Because the strangest things happen. The one year when Gordon came down, I mean, I was pretty sad for that guy. I mean, he came down and and his motor come apart, and those guys like that happen, that they're so far from home. I don't want to say anybody's name for last. I don't wish that on nobody. First, I have no idea. You never know. I don't think who your good competitors are, and I think Bubby obviously is a good one with that that little short truck, and the rest I can't think of all their names, but I know that the Blue Dodge is a good one. I can't think of his name. I know it made it close to 2,000 horse last year. I think there's some other guys coming from out west. Those trucks are no joke. All of them. I would figure they're all going to be the top 5. I figure it's going to be the top 5 again. Really competitive this year.
Okay.
You never know what's going to happen. That's, you can only bring so many turbos, transmissions, and whatever parts. Me, I'm bringing 3 sets of wheels and tires and weights and fuel. That's it.
I love it.
Something happens, we're just going to ride the Razor around and enjoy the weekend and eat food. That's the plan. We're not bringing anything. I mean, Summit Racing's close, so if something happens, I don't know. I have to figure out that whole thing with the points. How I can't remember how it is if we have to leave to go get parts and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, the first year when I took that 15 on the street drive, I don't know what in the heck happened. My truck backfired. It sheared the bolt off in the front of my supercharger, and we had to get up on a Sunday morning and went to a rural farm store and got like a grade 8. It was the craziest thing. And then, Matt's like, you got to still complete the street drive. And the only thing I knew was to go out and get on Interstate 71. And crazy as it sounds, I averaged about 105 mile an hour speed. I just got on 71, and we got the app to see where all the police was at. And my buddy was watching, and we just hauled ass. We went down the back, and Matt's like, did you even go do it? And I said, look at my odometer. He's like, oh, how fast did you go? And I was like, over 100 the whole way. So,
oh my God, Bryan, what a blast. I really am. I'm so excited. I know all of our listeners are going to be watching the feed, keeping an eye on all the socials, and everybody who can is going to be there, of course, attending, keeping an eye out for you and your truck. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I just want to ask one last question. I know nobody does this on their own. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Probably first on my wife. She feeds the need. She's my enabler. She's always pushing the needle in a little farther. There's a lot. I mean, this all started, and I got a lot of my information. When I started this whole deal with Sarah, Levon Miller gave me a lot. I asked him a lot of questions with that black truck back then, 19 to today. I moved over here where I'm at. Justin Ziegler has pointed me in everywhere, from where the drive shaft shop, to get some drivetrain parts, to the fab shop, to he hooked me up with a guy to help me fix my turbo kits. I mean, I've got, fire pump guys from the past that's helped me, Justin Ziegler, Slosh Fab, Jason Rogers is helping me with the tuning. You know how it is. We're talking right now. I can't think of everybody, but there's a lot. There's a lot of silent guys that go back to UNOH. My instructors there from the high performance side. They message me and ask how things are and give me pointers, because they all follow me too. And
that's so cool.
There's a lot of silent people in the back.
Well, that's awesome, man. And thank you again so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and good luck to you at the competition.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you guys there.
Absolutely. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been another special episode for the All Truck Challenge competitors. This has been Paul Wilson. Thank you for listening. I have a feeling that King of the Street is going to be the testing for me.